I'm at a moral crossroads. This is like a 10-year-old 4-pill I built a million years ago. This has got a copper insert in it, and it's got a woefully inadequate fan that's in it. I built this for my friend Mr. Black. This amplifier has been all over. It's been to Afghanistan and back, and this is one of the original amps. I mean, look at the logo. This is back before he's even putting numbers on them and everything. I got to revisit this, but the reason this is out, I might actually end up keeping this one, but I don't know. It's a 4-pill Toshiba with sideband bias, because when he was in Afghanistan, this is the most power he could run, and well, he's dead now, so it doesn't really matter. He was an overseas contractor, okay, and he spent like 1 billion tours in Afghanistan, okay, and the way it works for the contracting company, at least for who he worked for, he did 4 tours in Iraq and immediately got out of the army and immediately flowed right into the contractor world. Went from making, I don't know, let's just make up a number. Let's say like 45,000 a year, 50,000 a year in, military service, to 300 to 400,000 a year, plus working in the contractor world. And as a contractor, it afforded him a whole bunch of other things. Like he had a whole big building shop production thing that he ran over in Afghanistan. And so, Amazon being Amazon, I'm telling you, they deliver worldwide. Now, here in the United States, to ship something to Afghanistan at that time, 10 years ago, was a little bit of a chore, but this got built here in this spot and then got shipped there for him to use. I'm probably admitting to like 15 felonies. I don't know, I don't think so, since the country of Afghanistan is no longer governed or helped govern by the United States. It was just given up, and the largest arms deal ever in history was done for free. And we got thousands of people that are Americans that were left behind, which makes my blood boil. Anyhow, thank God he passed away before that happened, or otherwise he probably would have lost his shit. This amp was designed specifically for him to use over there. We ended up using it in something else after he got done contracting. He came out of the contractor business and they shipped him back all this stuff from Afghanistan. But while he was over there, he put an antenna up and was talking on the radio. Long story shortened, way up. And he loved this amp. Loved it. I mean, like, that was his baby. The other thing, okay, a little bit different animal here. Is me and my wife, we built him this. There's a whole YouTube video dedicated to this amplifier. I'll put in the description down below. This is a 24 pill and a 32 pill jumbo. The whole thought process behind this was that he dedicated his whole truck to having a mobile box. He never wanted to go any bigger than this. But the voltage rating, the capacitors, the lithium batteries, all the stuff that he had in his truck allowed him to get 7,000 peak out of this box sitting with this. Are we going to see those numbers on this workbench? No. Are we going to see fairly close? I think so. There's a couple things on this box I want to tighten up. It's got a screw that's been broke off here. I'm going to fix that. And no, it's not the PIM nut's not knocked out of it. It's at some point or another this got over torqued and the head busted off. So I got to go in here and take the lid off, dig this out, make it so it's got all the screws. But that's it. That's the only physical defect of this thing. He loved this amp. I mean, he loved this amp. And the truck that this was in is now sitting out in my driveway because we bought it too. We're doing this for the family. I am getting rid of this for the family because all the proceeds from this go back to the family. So, on that note, let's bust this thing open and look inside. And there it is in all its glory. My wife and I built this together, and we built this for him. I added the on-off switch here in the corner because the way this was originally set up, it was custom built for him and his truck, and he had a custom remote interface, which is a bunch of 4-pin jacks. One powers the meter and the other one's the remote. The meters are not for sale in this package. Them are mine. Those are permanently built into the truck, and I'm keeping those. And I keep those as a keepsake. Line section, all the other stuff that went along with this, that's mine. So, it looks as new as when it was built. There was some stuff that had gone on in here that I had to fix here real quick, like the output combiner was kind of floating a little loose, the glue popped off. It happens. So since we built this, we have a little bit better technology that we use, so I went ahead and I fixed this. This is now permanently on here. It's not coming off. This is not built like my standard 24 pill that I build today. This has got the ICA input transformers in it. Of course, I did the oversized combiners on each one of the 4-pill sections. This is all type 61 in this box, all of it. Today I'd use like 43 or 37 on the power wires, but this is all type 61. This is back when we were able to get these beads on a regular basis. If you guys didn't know, there's a huge ferrite shortage that's hit the nation at this point. It's almost impossible to get ferrite. Well, it is impossible to get ferrite at this point. If you're able to get ferrite from, let's say, like ICA or somebody like that, be grateful, because there's not a lot left. It's Monday. Phone's ringing like mad today. It is pristine. It's got all the exact same transistors in it. This has got Toshiba 2879 5H's in it. Here, let's change perspective for you. Camera, and I hate propping this thing up like this, but this gives us a better view. It's got RG400 instead of 316 for the input. I did the reverse spider layout. I mean, I really took my time on this, and then I was going down there to do some work on his truck, which is now my truck. I went down to do some work on his truck, and I sent this as a pre-lead package. And he had this, and I told him, I said, dude, come pick me up from the airport, and then let's go over to the hotel, because I was going to come in late at night. And I said, bring that big box I sent down. He's like, what's in that damn thing? I'm like, don't worry about it. So I get down there, and he's got the thing in the back of the truck, and the box just looks like hammered ass. I'm like, God damn. I was discouraged. I mean, absolutely discouraged. But we loaded it up onto the cart at the hotel. We went upstairs. Now, Frank would always do these weird things, like he would pay to have a limo driver come pick me up from the airport kind of thing, and then take me to wherever we were going to meet and then go from there. I told him to stop doing that. One of the other things he would do is he would get like the presidential suite. He would get like the president and the vice president suite and whatever like 4-star hotel he was wanting us to stay at, and we would call that our base of operations, and then we'd party from there. So here we are in this giant hotel room. Now I'm telling you, this room was like the size of an Olympic basketball court. And we're chilling in the outer room, you know, because you got the outer room, then you got like a little dinette area, and then you've got the inner bedroom, which in his room was huge, and my room was huge, and it was retarded. I'm more like stay at the Holiday Inn and not be too focused on the hotel room kind of guy, and more interested in wanting to go do stuff than sit up in the hotel room. But that's not the way Frank rolled. Everything had to be top shelf, first class, the best that money could buy kind of thing. So I sat there and I watched him unpackage this amp. Now he had no clue. Now I was sitting there with him. I'd gotten onto the hotel's computer. I'd loaded up my YouTube page, and I'd released this thing for public view. And me and him sat there together which I've only been able to do a couple other times with customers, sat there together and watched the YouTube video live as it came out. And that was freaking awesome. He had no idea this was coming. This was just a box he'd pay me to start. This actually started out in another complete board and cabinet chassis enclosure, but it was the small version. And for his birthday, my wife and I took that whole amp apart, and then we built this. It's got a small little capacitor bank that's down underneath this board. And then to grab access to that, you just simply unsolder this tab, and this whole thing hinges up out of the way. So then you can have full access to everything underneath here. But, I mean, it's got 316 dual DS to the final section, and then the standard 316 on the inputs. This one is 160s on the outputs of each one of the 4-pill sections, 270s on the input. And this was back before I had my own output or input transformers. So, but this would be kind of how I'd build it today. The capacitances would be different. This amplifier also has got this going on for it. Let's go in here and let's take a look at this. If you haven't noticed, underneath the pill pockets is a copper sheet. Well, there's a copper slab that's in here that sits between the board, the phenolic board, and the actual heatsink. And the copper slab is a spreader. So this is a 24 pill with a heatsink spreader in it, which is kind of cool. And how this one's put together is I drilled all the holes through the copper. So the screws for the transistors are actually about yay long. Instead of being about yay long, they're about yay long. And the idea is that it threads into the copper. It doesn't thread into the copper, it threads into the aluminum of the heatsink. So I over drilled the holes so that the threads wouldn't grab on anything, and then it pulls the transistors down to the heatsink. But also in turn it's sandwiching the copper in between. So the transistors make contact with the copper, the heat spreads out to the copper, and then gets wicked out to the heatsink, which this isn't a new idea. I've been building them like this for a long time, but a lot of people don't want to pay for that added expense, right? If I was to do this same box today, I'd probably put a time off timer in it and make it so that it, you know, once you shut the amp off, it'd run for 5 minutes or whatever to make sure the amp is 100% cool, extend the life of the transistors a little bit more. But this amplifier was seriously made with a lot of love from me and my wife, and he loved it accordingly. This thing was put on a towel that was folded over, a big giant beach towel that was folded over multiple times, and that's how this thing sat in his truck. So it wasn't sitting there bang, 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 bouncing down the road. This thing was very well taken care of, and it's never been driven with anything more than a 4-pill, ever. I mean, like, ever. So, no, I take that back. We drove it with the 2x4, because initially I got the D-Well Cobra 29 over there that he was using. And Cobra 29 going in 2x4 going into this. But it's never been hit any harder than a 4-pill. And it's never seen anything higher than about 15.5 volts. Ever. Well, there was this one time where we were driving down the road and he was really drunk and he was sure, yeah, let's crank that in 11. You know? And he grabbed a variable voltage knob. I think it's... where is it? I got that variable voltage control laying around here someplace. God, I would have swore it was right here. I was looking at it the other day. Oh, here it is. He grabbed the MechMan variable voltage control and went, man, let's crank that son of a bitch up. And he ran it up to about 16.5 volts, and I reached over very quickly and turned it back down. But the batteries and the supercapacitor, you know, the 4 batteries and the 4 supercapacitors that were in his Chevy, there's no way they could have charged up, and it didn't do no harm whatsoever. But the more I look at this, I recognize how much time this all took. I mean, everything is perfectly even and straight and square, and all the wires are exactly the same. This took forever to do. Forever to do. Okay, let's hook it up. Let's test it. RPMs are singing spiritual hymns and saying, Lord, have mercy on the big hammers. Okay, So over here, I've got the 4-pill, and I've got it hooked up to, everything's hooked up to the bench power supply. So we're sitting at 15.1. So that means internally in the amp, it's going to drop down to about, probably 14.1, 13.9, somewhere in there, under full load. And we're not going to fully load it. We're just going to loaf it. Okay, units of measure are as follows. This is a 1,000 watt slug in peak envelope power, 1,000 in average, and a 5 watt slug in reverse. Average, RMS, bird watts, however you want to look at it. First, we're going to run it with the 2950. So we're going to put this much drive into it. Let me zoom back in here. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2. So we reach over here, turn the amp on. Oh yeah, and the whole bottom side of this is covered in blue LEDs. So blue light comes flowing out of the back of this thing like crazy. That's your on indicator. Okay, okay. So with 30 whole watts of drive, we're gonna make about 600 watts of power. I'm gonna pull 133 amps to do that work. Okay, so let's turn the amp off. Let's turn on the 4-pill. So, 4-pill driver. Put 600 watts worth of drive in it. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll turn on the 24-pill. Hello. Hello. It's making a scooch more. So now we're going to take and we're going to put this in 5x. Okay. So now this slug here, this meter here, is reading 5,000 watts peak. That's an average. 5 watt slug in reverse. So now we're just going to run the bench 4-pill again. Reading roughly about 600-700 watts, like what we were seeing when it was in the 1x position. 5K easy. 1 2. 1 2. We're at 500 amps worth of current draw, and I know the voltage inside this amplifier is dipping off. So let's bump this up a hair. We'll go on up here to about 15.7 and let our super caps charge up. 5 grand, no problem. That's hitting it with a 25-30 watt radio. So now let's disconnect the 2950 and we'll go over here and we'll hook up the derail striker. Come on, come in the hole, little bitch. There you go. The striker 955. So let's start all the way over again. Turn the 24-pill off. Turn the 4-pill off. We're gonna put that in 1x. So, about 125, 130 watts. Let's go ahead and we'll turn on the 4-pill. I'm seeing about 900 from this angle. From your guys' angle, you're going to see about 850. Let's go ahead, we'll turn on the 24-pill. Let's turn our dead key down a little bit more. There we go. Let's go ahead and you're going to hear the computer pinging in and out. I got cables running every goddamn direction to make this work. Okay, so now we're in 5x. Easily off the chart once again. Okay? I've just been sitting here playing with it. I think I'm running out of power supply, but I'm not going to run this for much longer without the lid on it. Still got the 4-pill drive in it. Still putting about 800 watts in it. It wants to go past 5 grand. Like 52, 5,300. I'm just not. It's pointless. Hello, 1 2 1 2. Hello, 1 2 1 2. So it goes over there and it tickles the stop peg, but it doesn't want to stay over there hard. Now, I've seen this in his truck run when we had it in his truck, and it was making, no joke, like 6,800 to 7,000 pretty religiously. But is what it is. The point behind the video is to show you that the amp is working perfectly, which it is, getting driven with a 4-pill, which is fine. So let me button this up. I was able to get the screw that was broke off in the case. I was able to get that extracted, so that's all fixed. Let's get the lid on it and let's test the fans. The other thing is I want to talk about this here, the remote pin on the back. This is a 4-pin mic jack. The 2 bottom pins are your remote on. Take a 4-pin mic jack, stick it in there, and the 2 bottom pins on this jack, these 2 bottom pins, this one here and that one there, turn them together, and that's what turns the amp on. It's actually remoted through this relay because the fans and the LEDs combined, there's way more current than a little switch like that can handle. So we went ahead and did it with a relay. Okay, point proven, amp works perfectly, makes all kinds of power, gives 0 shits. Hello. I'm sure I was all up in the frickin' lapel microphone here. Let's scoot this way back here. Let's put this across the room. I can't wait to listen to this video in post. Hello, audio 1 2. It's trying. Just running out of drive. Okay, it's perfect. I'm happy. Leave it alone. Let's put the lid on it. Let's wrap this up. Well, here we are at the end of the story. At least the end of this chapter, which is not the end of the story for this box. This box is going to go on. It's going to live forever. I'm not going to lie, I don't want to sell this thing. I'd rather put it in my own truck and run around with it in there. But then again, I'm building myself a big monster box for in there. So I'm like, piss on it, you know. As my friend Frank would say, Mr. Blank, fuck it. Freaking camel smoking ass. He'd want this to go on to somebody else. It doesn't need to sit here. Honestly, if I ended up keeping this, it'd probably just get wrapped up in black plastic and put on the shelf with all my other keepsakes, which they're only valuable to me. Or this money can go back and go to the family, and I can send this thing on to go be with other people and be loved and cared for, and somebody's going to kick ass on this thing. So that's it. Mr. Black's 24-pill up for sale. I'm thinking I'm going to ask about $7,000 for this. Cost of the transistors and the cabinet and the way it's built, it's more than worth it, I think. And if it don't sell, I'll send it back to the family. You can sit down in Texas, I guess. I don't know. But if you're interested in it, or you want to give me a really fair offer for it, call me. Shoot me a text. I'd be interested to hear what anybody has to say. So, on that note, I'm going to run out of here. Tomorrow, I start the 3CX 3000 A7 build. Gentlemen, Merry Christmas. Give me a call. We'll see you. Click, click.